Nintendogs was an integral part of my childhood, and the childhood of many others. Even to this day, people use the soundtrack as background music for commentary videos and even upload gameplay footage of them revisiting their dogs that they abandoned 10 years ago. It was only natural that in the midst of quarantine, when I finally got the chance to pick up some new games, that I would shill out $15 for a copy of Nintendogs. It was hilarious pulling up to the GameStop counter to pick up my Animal Crossing New Horizons copy, then asking the employee to grab Nintendogs for me. After I got bored of repaying my debts to a Tycoon Tanuki, I decided to pick the game up. It was just as frustrating as I remembered it to be, screaming at my DS, trying to get my dog to learn its name and perform tricks. Nonetheless though, it's a part of the charm of the game, hearing your distorted words played back to you and watching the dog tilt its head in absolute confusion at what you said. It's even funnier when you have a group of friends clowning on you while you do it.
Hate this, dude. Nintendog speedrun. Jareth. I hate this! Learn your name already! Jareth. Oh, thank God.
As I played, I began to wonder, what was Nintencats gameplay like? I didn't think it would be like Nintendogs. After all, cats are their own sort of animal, and that's why you don't see any cat beating at shows on TV. I thought, what could the devs have done with Nintencats? What gameplay elements were there? There would probably be no walks, no shows, so what was there to do with your cats? I myself prefer cats over dogs, and even considered scooping up a copy of Nintencats over Nintendogs. But upon googling Nintencats, I learned a tiny little detail. Here's the thing. Nintencats doesn't exist. That's right, I was shocked too. Yes, there is a Nintendogs Plus Cats game for the 3DS, but that's not what I'm referring to. I could have sworn pre-3DS era that there was a Nintencats game. Other people share this sentiment, swearing that they remember that there was, in fact, a Nintencats. There has even been a thread about it on the r/Mandela Effect board. Heck, some people even recall playing it. So, what's going on? Let's get started with the facts. Nintendogs did not invent the virtual pet genre. It goes all the way back to the 90s. Think Tamagotchi pets. Think Neopets. One of the earliest examples of a virtual pet game I can find on a proper console dates back to 1995 with the release of the Game Boy Color game Pets with a Z. In fact, the first game that I ever owned came from this series. So, the concept of you taking care of a simulated pet was not a new one. To be more specific, taking care of virtual dogs and cats was not a new concept. However, Nintendogs revolutionized the virtual pet genre by adding in an aspect that other games hadn't: more interaction. You can now physically interact with your pet, or, well, close as you could get. With the hardware the DS utilized, you use the touchscreen to, quote-unquote, touch your pet, use the microphone to speak to them, and they reacted accordingly. This is why Nintendogs is so fond to us. We have memories of these virtual dogs as if they were almost real, as they acted like it. We formed personal connections by speaking to them. They recognized our voice. This is why, even now, we joke about Nintendogs who haven't been fed since 2006, or suddenly feel the dread at that realization. This is what led me to the questioning of if Nintencats even could exist. I don't know if you've ever called a cat before, but a good majority of the time, they won't come, or they just come to you for food. Most cats are not nearly as friendly and playful as dogs. They are laid-back animals that are in their own little worlds, while dogs make you their world. This is one of the reasons why, conceptually, I think that Nintencats wouldn't work. And the producer of the game, Hideki Konno, sorry if I'm butchering that name, seems to agree with this sentiment. In a 2005 interview with Eurogamer, when asked about why dogs were picked over cats, he said the following: "We narrowed down the candidates into dogs and cats. After all, they are the main two types of companion animals loved by people all around the world. Why dogs instead of cats? Well, one of the things we really wanted to do was let players teach tricks by utilizing their own voices. Cats are at a disadvantage when it comes to learning tricks, and also we wanted to have animals with much more fun-loving natures. We wanted the animals to be able to take part in contests, such as agility competitions, and we wanted people to be able to take their pets for a walk. So we decided that dogs were more preferable than cats when it came to realizing those elements." Further into the Eurogamer interview, the interviewer quite literally inquires about the possibility of Nintencats, title and everything, and Hideki replies, "To tell the truth, we were already starting to develop a cat-based game at the outset of this project, so we already have the cat models, voice data, and so on. This can be taken in two ways. One, Nintendo was developing Nintencats at one point, or at the very least, had cat integrations planned for the original game. Two, he is talking about a completely different series altogether, which I find unlikely. Now, just because Hideki says that dogs were more suited for the angle that they were going for doesn't mean that Nintencats wasn't a possibility. I mean, they were talking about developing it in the interview itself. Nintendogs was an ambitious showcase of Nintendo's prowess and how it improved on the virtual pet genre. There was an inkling of the possibility that cats could somehow be brought to fruition in the series, and Nintendogs Plus Cats showed that this was possible. However, I really doubt the assets Hideki mentions were used in this game, as Nintendogs Plus Cats was released on the 3DS. Why would they use the crusty old models and sounds from DS? The answer is, they wouldn't, and they didn't. Unless they were reworked. As far as I've seen, this is the only official statement on Nintencats. The rest that comes up when you search Nintencats are speculation about this interview, games similar to Nintencats, or people swearing that it exists. So, we come to the crux of this video. Did a fully fleshed out, Nintendo-crafted Nintencats exist? The all-encompassing answer is no. If you want to get conspiratorial about it, though, the answer is still no. However, we must tack this on. No, at least, not in this universe. Earlier, I mentioned a Reddit board called r/Mandela Effect. The Mandela Effect describes a phenomenon in which sometimes our world passes through different parallel universes and timelines, in which things remain pretty much the same, with the exception of small details. For example, the Mandela Effect gets its name from the South African political leader Nelson Mandela. Fiona Broom, a paranormal consultant and the individual who coined the term, believed that Mandela died in the 80s, when in actuality, he passed away in the 2010s. She claimed that others would share this memory as well. Broom believed that this was due to alternate realities which our world subtly passes through. So, in the original reality, Mandela died in the 80s, but in the new reality, he died in 2013. And to refer back to the topic of this video, in the original reality, Nintencats existed, but somewhere between the release date and the very latest 2018, in which people started realizing that Nintencats was non-existent, there was a shift in reality that wiped the game off the face of the earth. Back to the Hideki interview. The fact that he said that they were developing a cat-oriented game at one point gives a bit of ground to this theory. Nintencats could have released sometime in 2006 or a bit later. After all, people claim to have memories of this game, remember seeing it on the shelves, or even on the back of the Nintendogs box itself as a promotion. Then the reality changes, and poof, Nintencats is gone, only left as a distant memory. However, I disagree. Even though I started off with saying that I swore that Nintencats existed, I don't buy into the Mandela Effect. The more believable of Mandela effects are the ones that many people share, such as the popular Darth Vader line, "Luke, I am your father," being, "No, I am your father." And even that is probably just shaky remembering. By contrast, Nintencats doesn't have as many people rallying behind it and is more of a, "Oh, I could have swore that was a thing" moment. There are a few people saying much of anything about it, and if it had actually existed, at least a couple thousand people would have come forward and claimed that their cartridge had magically disappeared. Usually Mandela effects are about smaller, less concrete things that we can't prove 100% didn't happen, but I think it would be a pretty big deal if a whole game just suddenly vanished. As much as I would love to indignantly get behind a huge conspiracy, I think there's a simpler answer. First, let's do some debunking. About the assets. Yes, Hideki did mention that there were cat models and voices that were made at the beginning of the Nintendogs project, and that there was a cat-oriented game coming up, but there's a good possibility that all that could have been scrapped. It happens. As I have stated multiple times, and as even Hideki said, it would be difficult to make a Nintendogs-esque game with cats. Anything could have fallen through. With that out of the way, it's time for what I think happened. Nintendogs wasn't the first virtual pet sim, but it was the first to fully utilize the functionality of the DS. Its popularity and sales may have went on to inspire other companies to hop on the virtual pet train now that the blueprints were there, and in particular, fill the cat void that was left by Nintendo. Purr Pals is the closest thing we have to Nintencats, and I think that it's likely the culprit we have for some people claiming they have memories of playing the game. It's similar in style to Nintendogs, and truth be told, if you were playing Purr Pals, you were probably a younger kid, so it would be natural to associate it as the cat counterpart to Nintendogs. Even if you didn't play Purr Pals, it's a possibility you may have seen it on the shelf at the game store in passing and associated it with Nintendogs, as both game covers use pictures of real animals. It seems that after Nintendogs came out, many of these virtual pet games would use pictures as opposed to illustrations, either by coincidence or, more likely, to make an association to Nintendogs to either convince the consumer it was part of the franchise and or as a way to appear it was on equal footing. This is a common marketing strategy, and it can be seen in many different forms of advertisements such as movie posters and album covers. That has its own slew of conspiracy theories to go with it, but I think we're done with the conspiracy section of this video. As for the cats on the back of the box, there's really no explanation for that besides just misremembering. It's very possible that simply thinking about this has put the notion in your mind that you did indeed see a Nintencats advertisement on the back of the box. I could have sworn I had seen one as well, but there's no merit to it. It's just hearsay. Even in your adult mind, facts that you thought as a kid can be integral to your perceptions of the world now. Even things as small as manifesting Purpals or other cat-focused Nintendog-inspired games as Nintencats. The truth of the matter is that there never was a Nintencats, but that there were games that sought to be it, and in a way, succeeded. These spin-offs have made conspiracy theorists, myself, and perhaps some of you do a double take. The Wild West of early 2000s DS games was truly a strange, yet fond time to look back on. Hi everyone, my name is Lester Pridgepink. I hope you all enjoyed this weird little conspiracy video. If you're new here and you like gaming content, please consider subscribing. I mostly do Pokemon, though I'm attempting to branch out a bit. If you're returning, what's up? I love you guys, and I hope you don't mind me breaking free from the yoke of my usual content. If you liked it, leave a like. Comment down below your experiences with Nintencats, and if you would like to see more videos similar to this one, and or have a topic that you'd like me to explore. For now, I'm out. Stay cool, stay safe, keep wagging, folks. Bye, guys.